So in this video, we're going through exercise 10C, question 1, which says, for each of the following examples, determine the number of selections possible by listing the possibilities. So here we have an ice cream with 2 different scoops is selected from a choice of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. So before we begin this question, let's just review what we've learned so far. So in our last exercise, we went over arrangements. And when we were dealing with arrangements, the order matters. We also called these permutations, and we use this notation with my R representing the number of objects in the group and R representing the amount of places I'm trying to fill, or the size of each group. And then we had this notation, n factorial over n minus r factorial. Today, we're considering selections. So when we're considering selections, the order does not matter. We call these combinations. We use this notation. We also use this notation with the n and the r in brackets over the top of each other. And finally, we represent these things mean n factorial over r factorial, n minus r factorial. All that being said now, let's get into the question where we're obviously going to be dealing with this notation right here. So we have an ice cream with 2 different scoops is selected from a choice of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. So let's really consider what it means when it says the order does not matter. So if I was to get a vanilla scoop first and then get a chocolate scoop second, or if I was to get a chocolate scoop first and then a vanilla scoop second, as you can see, they both contain the same elements. The order is different. But while I'm eating my ice cream, the order doesn't matter here. All that really matters is the different scoops that are being selected. So we would count this as one possibility here. We do not care about the order. So I'm just going to put a little arrow that kind of tells us that we don't really care about the order here. So let's now use our notation to answer this. So we're obviously going to put this NCR business going on. So we have 1, 2, 3 flavors to choose from. So that means N is going to equal 3. I then am going to put my C, which stands for combinations. And we have 2 different scoops. So an ice cream with 2 different scoops. So on my ice cream cone, there are 2 different scoops. And so obviously that means I have 2 places to fill, so I'm going to put a 2 here. Now you could also represent this in this way. So you could write 3, 2. And we know that both of these equal this right here. So my n factorial, so 3 factorial over my r factorial, 2 factorial. Then n minus r, so 3 minus 2 factorial. Let's now go 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 factorial is 2 times 1. And then 3 minus 2, well, that's 1. And 1 factorial is simply 1. Now, what I'm going to be left with is that's going to go away. That's going to go away. So I simply am going to have 3 over 1, which is equal to 3. Let me highlight that. So that is my answer to the first question, 3. Let's now move on to our second one. So here we have 2 students from the group of Jamie, Georgia, and Wei are chosen to represent the class in debating. So yet again, we're dealing with combinations. We have 1, 2, 3 students to deal with. So that means my N is going to be 3. We have 2 students from the group. So that means we have 2 places to fill. Another way I could write this is 3, 2, and this is actually exactly the same as A. So I will write it out again, but it's exactly the same. 2 times 1 and then times 1. And I actually skipped a step right there. Let me just put this over here for a second. Let's remember this is 3 factorial over my r factorial. 3 minus 2 factorial equals that. That equals this. That's going to cancel with that, which means I will be left with 3 over 1, which is 3. So my answer to B is 3, which is exactly the same as A. Let's now go to this one. 2 students from a group of Thomas, William, Jackson, and Philip are chosen from the tennis team, are chosen for the tennis team rather. So that means I have 2 students, so 2 places to fill, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 students to choose from. So that means I have an N equaling 4. My R is going to equal 2. Another way I could write this is 4, 2. We know that this means 4 factorial over 2 factorial, N minus R, 4 minus 2 factorial. We know that's the same as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 1. 4 minus 2 is 2, so this is going to be 2 factorial. So 2 times 1. Then I'm going to get my red and start cancelling. That will cancel with that, which means I'm going to be left with 4 times 3 over 2 times 1, which is 12 over 2, which is 6. So my answer to C is 6. Let's now answer the third one, where we have 3 scarves are chosen from a blue scarf, a green scarf, a red scarf, and a white scarf. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 options before us, and 3 scarves are chosen, and we are dealing with a size of a group 3. So we're choosing 3 of them. So that means my R is going to be 3. So that means I'm going to go 4, C, 3, which is going to be the same thing as 4, 3. This is just a different way of representing it. That is 4 factorial over 3 factorial, 4 minus 3 factorial, which is the same thing as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 3 times 2 times 1. 4 minus 3 is 1, so that's just going to be 1 factorial, which is just 1. Now I'm going to cancel. This will cancel with this, which means I'm going to be left with 4 and 1, 4 and 1. So my answer is going to be 4. So for D, your answer should be 4. And that is all your answers to question 1 of exercise 10C. Hopefully this video was helpful if you got stuck.